Hi everyone, today we'll be doing a 20-minute hip opening stretch. So we're going to need a strap or just any sort of towel or strap that you might have at home, and also a blanket or a towel. Okay, so let's begin.
So we're going to start off lying down today and just making sure your strap is close by because we're going to need that soon. Come into your butterfly with the soles of the feet together, knees wide, and take the arms overhead, just holding opposite elbows. Let your chest relax, opening into the armpits, into that whole front body, into the hips. Let the thighs and the calves relax. So we're using the weight of the legs and gravity to open into the hips. Bring that left hand over your chest and the right hand over the belly. Start to use the hands to feel the breath. Moving into the belly, then the chest, then exhale from the chest, then the belly. Taking a few deep breaths here, letting your body calm and settle. When you're ready to move on, just rolling wrists, wriggling fingers and toes. Use your hands to help bring the knees back together. And then just hugging both knees in towards your chest, or you could just draw them in towards the chest without using your hands. And drawing little circles with the knees, massaging into the lower back. And just helping to relax through the hips for a moment. Maybe rocking side to side. Then we'll place that left foot on the mat and cross your right ankle over the knee. Keep the shoulders down and the chest open, and just using that right hand to gently push into the inside of that thigh. Maybe this is already more than enough, but if you aren't quite feeling anything, then you could lift that left foot off the mat, interlace your fingers behind the left thigh. Maybe even just drawing little circles with your left foot, rolling into that ankle. Then every exhale, just keep hugging that knee and that right shin in towards your chest, opening into the glutes. You keep those little rolls with the ankles. You could stay a little longer, otherwise slowly release, coming to the other side. So again, just keep that right foot on the mat first, crossing the left ankle over and gently push that left knee away. If you're not getting anything you'd like more, then lift that right foot up. And this time maybe just rolling through the right toes, releasing through that ankle, just hugging that knee in towards the chest. Opening into that right glute, into the hips, keeping the shoulders and the chest relaxed. And then slowly release. Take your feet to the outside edges of your mat for a moment, and maybe just letting your knees rock side to side, or just bring the knees to touch in front. So making a little teepee shape with our legs. And just a little internal rotation here with the hips to relax the hips. So now we're going to take our strap. Just putting it through the arch of that right foot. And again, we'll keep that left foot just on the mat for now. So hands on either side of the strap. Again, just keeping the shoulders and chest open. Inhale, see if you can really draw those toes back towards your face. And then exhale, use your hands, maybe walking them up a little closer towards your foot and just raising that leg a little higher up. If you'd like more, you could start to extend that left leg along the mat and just gently pushing the thigh down towards the mat. Notice if you're holding a lot of tension in your shoulders here to get that leg up. Relax here, keep those collarbones nice and broad, and use your breath. Exhale, hug the toes a little higher up towards your face. Then using the right hand grabbing both sides of the strap, now we're opening the leg out towards the side. So see how your knee is feeling here and your hamstrings. If you feel like you're locking out through the knees or you feel any sharp pain in your hamstrings, do a slight micro bend here, protecting through the knees and just releasing some of that tension in the hamstrings. Try not to let that left hip roll up, so using the left hand to push the hip down, keeping the hips level. Come back through center, and then just swapping hands, we're coming into a twist this time. So that right arm opens, and again you might find that you need to bend your knee here if you're feeling a really deep stretch in that hamstring. Otherwise, exhale, just gently start to drop that leg over towards the left. And then see if we can relax into the twist. So you could really feel a nice deep twist here, stretching the lower back and the spine. But especially in that IT band and external rotators, that external side of the hamstrings and the glutes and the thighs. So really breathe into that stretch. Again, you could just bend your knee slightly, engage your core to help bring that leg back through center. And then just taking the straps with both hands again. Just swap sides, so step your left foot in. Again, just keep that right foot on the mat for now. Use your breath. Inhale, draw the toes back towards the face. You could slight micro bend in your knees, or exhale, start to bring that leg up a little higher. Maybe extending your right leg along the mat. Remembering you can step your hands a little higher up your strap. Maybe you find you don't even need a strap. Breathe and slowly release. Take the strap with your left hand. And so this side you might be able to see a little bit more clearly. I'm using that right hand to push that hip down as much as I can to stop it from tipping up and leaving the mat. Remember, you can bend that knee, protecting the hamstring and the knee joint. Opening into that hip, into the groin. Then next to inhale again, maybe bending your knees a little more to get your leg back up through center. Swapping sides, so right hand holds the strap this time. Left hand open, head turning towards that left. And just very, very slowly draw that foot over towards your right side. Use your breath. Maybe it's a little bit of a back and forth with your breath, with your leg. So maybe lifting your leg a little higher and then it comes a little closer towards your mat. Just feeling that hamstring, that IT band stretch on this side. Then bending your knee slightly, engage your core to bring the left leg back through center. Slowly releasing that strap. Put it to one side. So that's all we're going to use it for today. So you could put it away. Maybe hug both knees in, even reaching your arms overhead, and just squeeze the knees in, rock side to side, releasing any tension in the hamstrings. You could take a few deep breaths, even staying here a little bit longer. Then taking the soles of the feet together again, like our butterfly pose, but we're going to interlace the fingers and bring the hands to the outside edges of the feet. So we're clasping the feet, essentially. Then inhale, again just keeping your shoulders back, chest open, really hugging your feet in towards you, but then at the same time on the exhale, use the knees to push away, opening into that inside thigh. You could do that a few more times, then eventually just dropping the feet gently towards the mat, coming back into this butterfly position. Just one more breath here. And then we'll slowly start to sit up, so keeping your feet together, just push yourself back up to a seated position. And instead of coming to butterfly, now we're going to come into our tortoise pose. So the feet are a little further away from our body here. And maybe here you can already, again, just feel that outside edge of the hamstring stretching. You just start to round, curve your spine forward, fold forward. Or you could thread your hands through and just taking hold of the tops of the feet. So if it's not quite enough, you could extend your legs longer so your heels are further away from your body. But if that's too strong in your hips and in the hamstrings, then bring your feet closer towards your body. Wherever you are though, just let your head and the shoulders round forward here, releasing into the lower back and using the weight of the upper body to release the back and also open the hips and the hamstrings. Slowly start to reverse your path. You could use your hands to bring the knees together again and just squeeze in, releasing the tension in hamstrings or hips. Let's come up onto all fours from here. Just shaking the hips side to side, opening through the sideways so you can look to your left heel, right heel, and again, shaking out. Maybe you're already feeling some cracks and some kinks in the hips here. You could stay here, do this a few more times, or we're going to use the hips and just draw some little circles. So if your knees are feeling quite tight here, or they just don't feel good on the mat or on whatever surface you're on, use that blanket you've got now to just put a little extra padding underneath your knees. But try to draw some really big circles with the hips, getting right into those hip joints. You could even sink the hips a little lower down towards your heels, and then take it in the opposite direction, drawing those little circles, getting those kinks, cracks out of the hip joints. Try to relax your head as you're doing this. You do a few more side to side with the hips. Okay, on the next inhale, we're going to extend the right leg, lift it up, and then exhale, just step it forward between the hands. You might need to take a few steps or use your hand to help get it through. Come up onto the fingertips first, making sure the heel's underneath the knee. And then if you've got your balance, you could take your hands to your hips, coming to a half crescent lunge. So sinking those hips down, opening into that left hip flexor. Notice if you're really sinking into that lower back, can you try to keep the spine long and your core engaged? So every exhale, sinking the hips a little bit lower, opening into the front of the hip this time. Hands back onto the mat, coming into a lizard, so stepping that right foot to the outside edge of your mat, and you could stay here with the sole of the foot down, or come to the outside edge of that right foot and let your knee drop out towards the side. Again, just getting into the outside edge of that glute and the hamstring here. And slowly come back through center. Maybe even doing little rocks forward and back with that hip, opening into the hip joint a little bit more. And when you're ready, tuck the back toes under, step your right foot back, shake your hips side to side. You come to child's pose to rest if you need. Then next side, inhale, left leg up, exhale, step it through between the hands. Coming into your half crescent lunge on this side. And again, just checking how your knees are feeling when you're kneeling here. You might find it just feels a bit better to use a blanket or a towel underneath that back knee. Sinking down into your lunge, into your half crescent lunge, opening into that right hip flexor this time. Just doing whatever you need to protect your joints, help you get a little bit more comfortable into the pose. And then bringing your hands down to the inside edge of your foot, step the left foot out towards the outside edge of your mat. Remember, you can stay here, even come up onto fingertips. Otherwise, start to open your foot out towards the side, knee drops out towards the side, and just sinking down to the hips. Try to keep those shoulders down away from the ears. You could stay a little longer. We'll slowly come back up. And maybe doing those forward and back rocks, or just step straight back. And this time, we'll all come to our child's pose to rest. So bring the knees together in this child's pose, letting the hips relax for a moment. If your hips are quite tight, you might find you need to bring your fists or your hands, stack them underneath your head. So then, if the hips are too high up off the heels, we tend to put a lot of pressure on the neck. So just protecting your neck here. Again, just maybe shake side to side, spinning as long as you need. And then we'll come into our frog pose. This is quite a strong hip opener, and so from here we're going to use our blanket, and we're just taking it nice and long, and I've just folded it up so it's a little bit thicker as well. And we're going to be kneeling down and bringing the inside edges of our knees down onto the mat. So just see how your knees are feeling here. We just want to get a little bit more padding here with our knees. Just walk the knees out as far as you can. Maybe you're already feeling quite a deep stretch in that groin and in the adductors, so the inside edges of the thighs. Try not to let your hips come up above the knees. So we want the hips to be down in line with our knees, and the heels to be in a straight line behind our knee as well. You could stay on the palms or come down into forearms. Maybe you could even walk your knees in a little further away, or walk them in if your groin is feeling quite sore or feeling painful. Otherwise, try to let your hips, especially your glutes and your buttocks and the thighs, completely relax. So then your hips can be really heavy, and just using the weight of the hips to sink down into this frog pose. Again, this is a really strong pose, so really try to use your breath. When you come out, just take it really, really slow. Bringing the knees back in together, maybe just 1 inch at a time. And then come back into that closed-legged child's pose. You could rock side to side here. Or again, maybe bringing your hands underneath that forehead. Just releasing any tension in the hips. We're going to stay here for our final rest today, so really just getting any last shakes, rocks out of the hips here. You might even like to do a cow face pose to bring the hips back together, kind of cross over the legs. And just noticing here how your hips are feeling now compared to when you began the class 20 minutes ago. Sitting back up into kneeling, hands in prayer. One last deep breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Namaste.